Screw your freedom.
Consider this your trigger warning. The following program is strictly satire and is not meant to be taken seriously. So don't get all butthurt, you liberal snowflakes, just because we skewer your sacred cows and expose all your lies and hypocrisy. Truth hurts, and so does satire. So grab a drink, pull up a chair, and enjoy the show.
Alrighty, I just scrambled into the office. Mr. Uman, is my microphone on? All right, he's giving me the head nod. Yes, indeed. Well, let's get into it. Let's start right off the bat. Oh, by the way, down below, questions, comments, thoughts, and more. I'm going to just tear into this. It is a terrifyingly terrible Tuesday. So, we heard all about the 2020 election fraud. Right now in Georgia, Trump is being prosecuted for objecting to the results of the election based on his belief that there was fraud in the system. Well, guess what? The Michigan Attorney General, Nessel, had her emails requested through the Freedom of Information Act. Apparently, she personally visited the Detroit United States Postal Service Distribution Center the day before the 2020 election. And a whistleblower has come forward, folks, and said, quote, thousands of ballots are sitting inside the post office warehouse. That's right. Right. This is a Gateway Pundit report. A whistleblower who works for the USPS, the Postal Service, told two different Democrat U.S. congresswomen in Michigan that he personally witnessed thousands of uncounted absentee ballots that are sitting in boxes because there isn't enough help to process them. And guess what, folks? The director of elections for the Secretary of State, Benson, has been telling us, America, for 3 years that the 2020 election was the most secure in history. They have taken zero action, folks. The Attorney General, the Secretary of State, the two congresswomen. Oh, yeah, one of them was one of the jihad squad types. That's right, Rashida Tlaib. They are continuing to sit on it, stifle it, halt any investigation, claim everything was just fine. Folks, these people in Congress, these people in government are scum. Scum. Now, the Republicans in Congress today, not 2020, Republicans in Congress today want to introduce legislation, or a memorandum or a letter, make a statement, get it in the congressional record, reaffirming President Trump did not lead an insurrection, which is the great Democrat lie. Now, Matt Gaetz, I think, is in the lead of this symbolic but important statement. The reason it's important, folks, even though nothing will come of it, is that, Republicans are saying something and it's going to be in the congressional record. Now, that doesn't matter. If the Democrats win in 2024, they can erase the entire congressional record. They can pull a Nazi burning of the Reichstag that has burned Congress to the fucking ground, claim everything is lost, including the Declaration of Independence, the U.S. Constitution, all Supreme Court rulings, every law ever passed, and say, I guess we're just going to have a dictator tell us what to do and how to live and how America works. We'll just all pretend like we didn't have a constitution, just kind of make shit up as we go. I actually expect that type of thinking and behavior from these fucking people. I do have a sad note I want to hit. Before we move on. The legend, the man, Toby Keith, died, age 62. It is truly a sad loss. And I want to say this as my tribute to Toby Keith. He will never smoke weed with Willie again. And I invite you to take a guess of what killed him or who. The WHO who? Now, Toby Keith was a bit of a conservative. He was a bit of a radical. He was a bit of a freedom-loving dude. I don't know whether or not he took the Jim Jones juice. I just thought it was worth mentioning. I wonder if he pissed somebody off, right? I wonder. Now, get this. As we move on, and I'm going kind of fast, I got to slow it down. I raced to get home. I raced to get here. And I've got some big news, folks, from our favorite U.S. Senator, Mitch the Turd McConnell. Guess what, folks? He is now telling Republicans in the Senate to block that border bill. The one that earlier he was saying, let's pass it, let's pass it. It's the greatest bill that ever passed, from Senator Schmuckatelli, who wanted to give $60 billion to Ukraine and $20 billion for the border. Claimed it was the best thing to do, right? Now he says, well, you know, we need to block that bill because, quote, political mood in the country has changed. He actually said that. The political mood in the country has changed. When the fuck, since when, Mr. McConnell, did it change? Between this morning when you said it should be passed and it's great, or now when you say the mood has changed? Is it the political mood in Washington, D.C., or the political mood in your home state? Did the people from the heartland, Mr. McConnell, Mr. Douchebag, Mr. Sack of Shit, did they go, you know, after careful consideration, we've had enough of these illegal immigrants. Wait a minute. Well, but I thought that bill was going to save the country. It was going to limit the country to 5,000 people a day being invaded illegally still, which still resulted in 1.5 million illegals a year. So the mood has changed. In what way, Senator? The people love this illegal immigrant thing and the mood has changed. We don't want to stop it, so don't pass that bill. Or you believed, right? Do you believe the bill was flawed? McConnell says the mood has changed. The bill wasn't flawed. The bill was fucking flawed. The mood changed, folks, from, yeah, this illegal thing ain't so bad, to when Trump left office, it became, holy shit, this illegal thing is off the hook. And the thing about the political mood of the country has changed, as if McConnell cares what the people want. Folks, listen. He is a lying sack of shit, and he should be recalled. He should be impeached. He should go visit his doctor. He should do something. He is an awful American. He is an awful human being. Period. I can't think of one thing he's done to ever help me or America. Is Mitch McConnell a stalwart Second Amendment supporter? Is Mitch McConnell a steadfast, rock-solid, foundational piece of First Amendment belief? And the Fourth and the Fifth and the Ninth and no, he's none of those things. Now, I'm going to switch gears with you. If you just joined us, came in a little late, get your questions down below. This is a terrifyingly terrible Tuesday. When I read this, I was shocked. I told you about the family in the state of Montana that had their child taken from them. They lost the custody of their daughter to Montana Child Protective Services. Why? Because they did not want their daughter to get gender reassignment surgery or gender care, gender transition care. I think parents have a say in what their children do. And I'll tell you what, if your kid believes that shit, you left them in school too long. You made a mistake. Once they turn 18, they're on their fucking own, right? They haven't learned by then to, it just goes to show how powerful this death cult is. Remember, the Democrats are a death cult. I'm sure the Kolstad family, that's their name, Kolstad, didn't have the statistics on how many children, teens, and adults go through this surgery, take the drugs, and regret it. Try tens of thousands, folks. That's how many people have fucked around with this. Well, there it is. Fuck around and find out. The Kolstad family either didn't know or didn't share this with their daughter. In fact, the daughter will never be a son. Now get this, folks. This family that has had their daughter taken from them by the government is now facing arrest because they lost the legal battle. And now, folks, get this. Get this. The governor is threatening them. Folks, remember this and remember it well. Republicans are not who they all claim to be. Beware of all Republicans, all politicians at all times on all subjects. We cannot trust them. The governor of Montana is a Republican, folks. Greg Gianforte is supposed to be a Republican in Montana. But there are accusations that the governor is orchestrating a smear campaign, is accusing them of being unfit parents because they refuse to allow their 14-year-old daughter to go out of state for what they're calling mental health care. See, when your kid decides they're the other gender, is it a sign of mental health problems, or is it a sign of indoctrination by school and media sources? Right? So the Kolstad family, folks, they've had the spotlight of media shined on them because Jennifer wants to be called Leo and use male pronouns. So Montana took the child into custody. That's right, folks. Montana CPS stole a child to give this little girl boy gender transforming drugs and surgery. And since when does a governor, folks, a Republican, get involved in an individual child's desire to be a trans testicle gender bender? When does that happen? What the fuck is going on? So this threat to arrest them for what? Trying to get their daughter back? Trying to rescue their daughter from certain destruction and sterilization. This is a fucking sterilization program, folks. Simple and pure. It is a gender sterilization program. Did you know that 120 years ago, thereabouts, to 100 years ago, there was an effort by non-government organizations, though they didn't call themselves that back then. There was a huge effort to sterilize Americans who were considered undesirable. Either their IQs were too low, or they were from bad areas, bad families. They wanted to sterilize them so they couldn't reproduce. What is this gender bending, gender transforming, gender care all about? It's about sterilizing someone by changing their gender with drugs and completely fucking them up. And the government is involved in it and pushing it. Whether it's the president of the United States putting pride flags on the White House, praising this type of stupidity. Has shit hit the fan? Has it? You bet your ass it has. Once again, questions down below. Tucker Carlson went to Moscow. He was filmed there. Someone got a photo of him. Good golly, I asked, is he a Russian asset? Is he going to get arrested upon return? Well, guess what? Apparently Tucker Carlson did interview Vladimir Putin in Moscow. That's right. Apparently, here's the quote. Tucker Carlson got what he wanted. Does that make Tucker Carlson a Russian asset? Or could he be a real journalist? A real journalist. Good question, huh? Interesting question. Well, I have some thoughts on this. This comes down to free speech, folks. We're supposed to believe Vladimir Putin is a murdering bastard, a bad guy. Could you say the same about Hillary Clinton? She ran for president. Could you say the same thing about Obama? Hey, Obama, where's your chef? Could you say the same thing, a murdering bastard? Let's see, about Biden, Merrick Garland, the FBI. How about the Washington, D.C. police force, the Metro PD? They murdered 4 people on January 6th, folks. Yes, Ashley Babbitt was shot by Capitol Hill security. 3 other people were beaten to death by the police. But Vladimir Putin's a bad guy. What it really comes down to, though, folks, is Biden and the mainstream media do not want you to hear the other side of the story. If you interview Putin, I'm sure he would perfectly explain his position. You may not agree with it. You may not like it. I wonder what Tucker Carlson is going to reveal. I wonder if Tucker Carlson will be allowed to reveal it. And I am no Tucker Carlson acolyte, neophyte, zealot, or worshiper. I'm pissed at Tucker Carlson because he had all the January 6th footage, we were told, security footage, and he did not release it to the public. He held on to it like a greedy bastard trying to capitalize on it. That pissed me off. We don't fucking have time for these games anymore. We don't have time for a 4-star blue ribbon panel to look into Joe Biden one more time. We don't, folks. What we have time for now is action. Action. I want to tell you, folks, what kind of action was taken in Europe. The farmers, folks, of Europe won a battle. The European Commission President, Ursula von der Leyen. Van der Leyen? Get this. The commissioner, the president, is not elected. They're bureaucrats. They're appointed bureaucrats operating at an executive level. Can you imagine if Joe Biden appointed Merrick Garland to go to a special blue ribbon, 5-star chicken rated commission and was told he could make laws? We'd be like, no one voted for that little weaselly cocksucker. I present to you Ursula von der Leyen. Anyway, they're going to dump the sustainable use regulation that wants to cut in half fertilizer usage. The people of Europe have done well. They need to keep pushing hard and not quit, though. Don't take your haystacks home. Don't drive your tractors home. They have won this battle, but they need to fight this war from now on forever. They need Ursula von der Leyen to write a rule that says they will not try to stop, impede, or regulate farming so that they produce less food for the world to eat, etc., etc., etc. Punishable upon with pain of death to any European commissioner at the EU. It's just like in America. Well, we stopped that Second Amendment bill. Oh, here comes another one. There it goes. Bam! You shoot the bill. Oh, and it dies. They don't stop. They don't give up. They don't quit. You can't bargain with them. You can't reason with them. You can't talk sense to them. They're that stupid. Now, I'm going to get back to Washington, D.C. Are you ready to be shocked out of your flip-flops? The jackass senator, folks. Which one? There's only 100. The one that put up that border bill that said, let's give $60 billion to Ukraine. Oh, by the way, I'm going to tell you why that money, we don't need to give them another fucking dollar. But before we get there, let me tell you about Senator Lankford. Supposed Republican, once again. In the year 2010, folks, 14 years ago, he gave deposition testimony. That's right, folks. He was in a legal deposition. He gave his testimony. And within his comments, he stated that, according to this news statement, that he said that 13-year-olds can consent to sex. That's right. Sounds like he joined Ruth Bader Ginsburg, now dead, fossilized Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She wanted 12-year-olds to have sex. I guess Senator Lankford took the Republican weak-kneed position to say, I think 12 is too young. We should wait till they're 13, so at least they're a teenager. Thanks, Senator Lankford. He's a Republican, folks, and he thinks 13-year-olds can consent to sex. He sounds to me like an Epstein client, if you want to ask me what I think. What do you think, folks? What do you think? Now get this. Over in Ukraine, Ukrainian news networks, Ukrainian television, Ukrainian satellite are saying that the Russian conquest, the Russian attack at Avdiivka is imminent. Russian victory at Avdiivka is happening right now. Russian winning and kicking the shit out of Ukraine with all the help of NATO, equipment from the U.S., missiles, bombs, rockets, ammunition, guns. They failed, and Russia is winning in Avdiivka. That's what the Ukrainian news is saying, folks. Now, if we go with what is standard operating procedure for Joe Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, moron extraordinaire. I don't have to say moron extraordinaire when I talk about Biden. We just know. But I want to remind people that little curly hair fries is an idiot. And she wasn't born in America. And she's an idiot. Have I said she's an idiot, Uman? I can't remember if I got that part. Yeah, it's hard to say. She's a fucking idiot. Will Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, the mainstream media, the Democrat mouthpieces, the warmongering rhinos, will they claim that NATO is winning? I'm sorry, that Ukraine is actually winning? Are they going to tell the 180 and say, oh, yeah. Tell you what, Zelensky and his special brigades, they're kicking the shit out of the Russians. They're about to win at Avdiivka. Are they going to say NATO and their victory is coming? Are they going to make that lie up? It's hard to, they fucking lie about everything. So why would we be surprised that they decide to lie about that? I'm telling you, folks, they're falling apart in the Russian battlefield. We're about to get sucked into war with Iran, Syria, the Houthis, and Israel is dragging everyone into it they can. Well, NATO, and that would be all of Europe and America and Britain, just showed that they cannot win against the Russians. Even with an army of, conscripts, people forced to go fight. Well, don't worry. They still want to give them F-16s, even though what few Ukrainian pilots are alive don't know and speak English. They would need to be trained in English before they can be trained to fly an F-16. Meanwhile, they've got to teach people how to work on F-16s. It's not going to happen. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. I'm running out of time in my segment. I've got a lot more, and it is very important stuff. I've got something from Darcy T I want to share with you. She says, "Hello, John." And if I stop, it's because she's giving out information that I shouldn't be saying. She said, "So I decided to use Chat GPT for a good cause. I asked it to run a list of the larger NGOs, non-government organizations, that assist immigrants to get across the U.S. border, including their sources of funding." Folks, this is the type of research we have at the Prepared Mind channel, the Prepared Mind Network, the R Syndicate. She says there are tons more of these organizations, but the list would have been too long. The follow-up question I asked was, which specific foundations provide funding? Here's a list below. Number 1, the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union. Number 2, Al Otro Lado. It gets donations from and grants from foundations and fundraising events. They give money to this. The Border Angels. Doesn't that sound great? The Border Angels. That comes from grants, and foundations and fundraising. They rely on partnerships and get money from other organizations for support to get people across the border. No, to get them to the border. The International Rescue Committee. That almost sounds official. It gets funding from government grants, private donors, corporate partnerships, and foundations. And folks, foundations are typically nonprofits. It doesn't mean that they don't have money and that they don't have a lot of money and they can't get even more. It just makes them sound benign, good for the world. The IRC, the International Rescue Committee, also gets revenue funding through other means. The Immigrant Legal Resource Center, the ILRC, is funded through a combination of grants, donations, government contracts, and fees for training and technical assistance. Isn't this funny how government contracts? What the fuck service could the Immigrant Legal Resource Center? What training and technical assistance? Why would the government contract with them? Why? The South Texas Human Rights Center. They are funding getting people to the border and across it. They get money from government agencies and other organizations. Catholic charities. Yep. Individuals, corporations, government grants and contracts. The Florence Immigrant and Refugee Rights Project. Donors, grants, government contracts, legal fees. They also get support from attorneys. National Immigration Law Center, the NILC. Didn't we already do them? Government contracts, grants, donations. The Keno Border Initiative. Families Belong Together, Center for Migration Studies. Oh, Ford Foundation, Open Society, Carnegie Corporation, Robert Wood Johnson, the California Endowment, W.K. Kellogg Foundation, MacArthur Foundation. Oh, Bill and Melinda Gates, surprise there. Rockefeller Foundation, the Annie E. Casey, the Atlantic Philanthropies, Soros Fund Charitable Foundation. Thank you, Darcy T, for doing all you can to make us all sick to our stomach from these fucking people. Wow. Just wow. I've got a little more. I'm going to jump into this. I don't want to leave this alone because these immigrants are so important, right? Well, in Italy, the Deputy Prime Minister Salvini, guess what he has done? They've had enough shit. Europe is fighting back more than America, folks. I'm ashamed of us in America. I actually am. I'm proud that Governor Abbott is finally doing something. But in Italy, the Deputy Prime Minister Salvini is proposing chemical castration for convicted sex offenders. Why, you might ask? Because a bunch of Egyptian migrants, illegal, no doubt, gotten over here by the Ford, the Gates, the Soros, the ACLU, and all kinds of left-wing scumbags. They got these Egyptian migrants, and many others. Well, they gang raped a 13-year-old girl. And so Salvini says, time for chemical castration. If anybody, folks, needs to be sterilized or even better, castrated, it's these people. And once again, folks, the Prepared Mind Network and the R Syndicate, we call it accurate. That's what these people want. That's what they're here. And it's going to get worse. Way worse for white women especially. You better arm up. You better load up. You better ammo up. You need to protect yourself from these people. They are sneaky. They are cowards. A 13-year-old girl, folks, gang raped by a bunch of Egyptian scumbags. Oh, don't worry. They felt perfectly fine doing it. All right, I'm going to do this. I need to take a fucking breath. Let's go to the inner circle. Breathe in, breathe out. Mr. Uman, I hope you've had a good day today. I really do. Hey, we got Michael Smith. I know that guy. This is from LD at thepreparedmind.club. He's at the club. He says, not sure what to expect for 2024 other than chaos. Trying to get it together before the balloon goes up. You got it, man. LD, thank you very much for being a subscribed paying member at thepreparedmind.club. In fact, if you're here with me live, thank you. If you watch it shortly after, you don't have to be here when it's live. You can show up after. Log in and watch stuff. And beat the rest of the world to news, opinion, perspective, understanding. Get it together, LD. I don't know how much time we have. I know shit has hit the fan around the world in many ways. Remember, if you will, recall, cast your mind back to 2020 when we were told there was an outbreak of cerveza bug in China. And then there was an outbreak of cerveza bug in Iran, of all places. And then there was an outbreak of it in Italy, and it was killing old people. And there was a young man standing in a room in Italy. His sister had died days ago and was still in bed behind him. Still there in bed, dead. No place to take her because cerveza bug. Well, number one, bodies blowed up and start stinking real bad pretty quick. Oh, and by the way, she moved. She wasn't fucking dead. It was a sham. These fucking people. That was how it started, folks. That's how they said, that's it. Time to fuck with you in the world. No respect, folks. I have no respect for any of them. Thank you, LD, and thank you, Michael Smith, for bringing that to everyone's attention. Thank you, Mr. Uman, very much as well. I'm glad you made it safely to the show. Who wants to step up next? We've got name redacted. He says, the damned Lindbergh baby could be sitting on top of that pile and it still won't matter. Pile of what, man? I missed something here. The Lindbergh baby could be sitting on the top of that pile and it still won't matter. We have been overthrown at all levels of government. I understand. We have been fighting at every single level. Where do we have the most control? Locally. Where do we have the least control? Oh, no, not Washington, D.C. Where do we have the least control, folks? Uman, any guesses? We have the least control, folks, over the World Economic Forum. They are a world organized body of non-government billionaires, corporations, banking cartels. They cannot be impeached. They cannot be voted out of office. They can't be recalled. Yet they spend money to buy politicians and buy policy. So we get rid of one and you get another. Name redacted. That's how I see it. We can't get a government to work in our favor because of these motherfuckers. Oh, let me tell you a little more about the World Economic Forum. They had their meeting, just a couple of weeks ago? And I said, hey, anyone notice that witch with the simulated blood running down her face on stage, spitting and doing rituals? Literally spitting, folks, spitting as part of the witch ritual. And I was like, there it is. There's your blatant, in-your-face fucking Satanism. Up there on stage for the world to see. Oh, that's not good enough, folks. Not good enough. There is satanic tapestry that is also featured at the World Economic Forum. Satan sat for his portrait. A tapestry. Can anyone doubt my claims, my evidence that the World Economic Forum is satanic? It is destructive. It is mass murder minded. Remember, folks, Klaus Schwab wants you to eat the bugs and give up all your stuff. You'll own nothing and you'll be happy. We can't control the World Economic Forum, folks, but we can control the politicians they pay off, because ultimately they are all local. Let me explain briefly. Our local politicians in our city, we can go down to a city council meeting or a county supervisors meeting, and you can actually see their faces and listen to them cowardly shit all over us. They'll talk tough and everything else. They're fucking nobodies. If you want, you can follow them home and see where they live. They're like everybody else. They shit down one pants leg at a time when they're confronted with facts and pissed off people. Now, let's move up to the state level. You have assemblymen or senators. They're elected at a local level also. They have to come back and campaign, and they have campaign offices in your town, your city, your county. You can go right on down there, ask Chin Music. You can go right on down there and get in their faces and let them fucking have it. And let them know, oh, you want to fuck the city up? You want to fuck the state up? You live here too, jackass. And we won't forget who the fuck you are. You don't have to threaten them. No violence. But don't be afraid to give them a piece of your mind. Whether you're talking about fruitcakes who want to cut their wieners off, or open border, or giving money to Ukraine, or stealing our fucking rights, wasting our tax money. In fact, we should be getting all our tax money back. These fuckers don't know how to, they don't deserve it. They're not responsible enough to spend it. Now, Washington, D.C., it's out of our control, as Name Redacted has pointed out, at all levels of government, all the way to Washington, D.C. Well, they live in Washington, D.C. while they're working, which means sticking their fucking hand out, asking for freebies and campaign contributions. But they, too, have a home in their district. It may not be in your city. It may be out in the county. It may be in the next county. But they do come home to campaign, and they do have campaign offices. Ask Chin Music. He is a ballsy motherfucker, by the way, folks. He is an American through and through, and he's a Texan to boot. Now, you're allowed to go to their office and read them the fucking riot act. You're allowed to carry the Constitution in. Be careful about taking the Bible in. They might think that that's a little too radical. Take your Constitution in. Open it up and say, where the fuck does it say you're going to give all my money that you forcefully take from me under threat of going to jail with a gun in my face, that you can just give it away to another country that is obviously corrupt? Oh, look, here's this thing on impeachment right here in my Constitution. It says high crimes and misdemeanors. You throw them out of the fucking office. Why isn't it being done? You can do that. You can't control D.C., but you can talk some good shit to your congressman. Do it. It's our country, folks. It's ours to lose. It's ours to lose. And if we don't put a nail in the message on the door, and I'm euphemistically speaking, then we're going to have to put a wooden stake through the heart of the vampire, the beast, at some point. Maybe a silver bullet, right, for werewolves. But they're all parasites, period. They're all fucking parasites. All right, Mr. Uman, where do we want to roll next? Uman says, that crap doesn't happen overnight. Those parents were most likely total hands-off parents and didn't give their kid guidance. And when the problems started manifesting, by the time the problem with your child thinking they're another gender manifests, you have been an absentee parent. It's too late. It's too late. Now, I know someone who has a son who was raised to be conservative, hardcore conservative, to understand and love the country, to know the Constitution and its history. This young man graduated high school, very smart, super high IQ, top of his class. And that never changed. He finished at the top of his class in his college after his 4-year degree. This young man, though, after being exposed, he had kindergarten through 12th grade, K through 12, of conservatism. Well, he started getting exposed to communist shit at the end of his high school. But then 2 years into college, they completely turned his fucking head and spun it in circles and convinced him to destroy his life and to try and create a new persona for himself. Cost him dearly in a lot of ways. Cost him dearly in a lot of ways he won't understand till he's 30, 40, 50, 60. You're born who you are. You're born what you are. You were born to your parents. That never changes. Unfucking believable what's happening to the kids in America, folks. These parents should have been hands-on parents. They shouldn't have said, well, this is Montana, it's safe, because it ain't. These fucking Democrat scumbags are everywhere, folks, even in the most conservative counties. They're there. They're slimy. They're sleazy. And I mean slimy, folks. They are sleazy as fuck. And they hide under rocks. And they lick toadstools for nutrients. They're scum. And they get in touch with children. Absolutely awful. I agree with you, man. You're a good man. Where do we go next? Who wants to step up next? Barking Wolf Spider. He says they already have the seed of the replacement population in the U.S. and the NATO or European nations. People already acclimated to totalitarian rule. I think I touched on this morning quite a bit, or a little bit, or somewhat. You bet. These people come from countries where their rulers treat them like shit. They are ruled. They aren't free. So they're used to living sans freedom. They're used to living sans food. They're used to being treated like shit, beat on, having no rights. There is no justice in many, many, many South American, Central American countries, as well as African nations and Middle Eastern nations, and even Far East nations. They have shit for government. So what difference does it make to these foreigners when they come here if they got shit for government? In fact, they would prefer shit to government. They know how to work in that kind of system. They'll use mopeds to rob you. They will blatantly go up and smash security cameras and then lure people into their nets, capture them, and sell them into the sex trades. The Swedes pretended it didn't exist, and it does, and it did. And as soon as you start fighting back, the government tries to stop you. Norway, same thing. Denmark, the Netherlands, all through Europe, down into Italy, Spain, Portugal. These scumbags are everywhere. The United States of America, they're here. They don't give a fuck about the government. They know their vote isn't shit. They'll go vote as they're told. Make the cheaters' jobs a little easier. But they don't give a fuck. They're used to living and struggling. But right now, they're being treated like royalty. Are they not? Royalty. They're being put up in the finest hotels. And then they want to bitch about the level of food. They don't pay a fucking penny. But they're ungrateful for what they've been given. I want them out of this fucking country. Every last one of them. Every last one of these fuckers needs to go. They need to get on the bullet train and head south across the border. And I like the idea of those theme park gates that only spin one way and have little see-through bars. I like that. You can go out. If you want, you can turn around and look back. But if you stop, someone's going to run into you because we're going to keep shoving you through the fucking gate. All right. Thank you, Barking Wolf Spider. Calm back down. Everyone, remember, the fight is not violent. The fight is political. The fight is now. The battle is now. The time to speak up is now. The time to act is now. Do it. Get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense in your plan. Do it. Get prepared. Don't wait till the last second. Do it now and start getting active. Email, text, write, call, drive down to these fucking offices of these political people. Take a list of shit you want to say. Don't show up and try and sound like an articulate statesman like George Washington. Don't try that. This right here. Have a fucking notepad. Have a notepad. Walk in and say, guess what? I took down some fucking notes. A couple of things occurred to me today. You took an oath. Congressman, assemblyman, you took a fucking oath. Live up to it. Am I too radical, Uman? Thank you. Uman says, no, John, you're just fine. I am too radical for these snowflake left-wing communist fucks. I went to I told you guys I went shooting this weekend. In fact, this little mark right here, that little red mark, fucking piece of brass flew out of the pistol, bounced off the wall, came back and landed on top of my safety glasses, burned the shit out of me. Fuck, made me laugh my ass off. Anyways, I went to the gun shop, and I tell you guys that. Go to sporting goods stores, go to gun stores. Meet people who are good fucking people. America's full of good people. The fight, folks, is not physical, not yet. Get trained up. There's good people at these places, folks. And they got good senses of humor. And they are fired up. People in the world of the Second Amendment, they know what's coming. It was interesting. I stood there and watched and listened. It wasn't hard to listen. And these people that are standing there looking at guns, they're just fucking looking like, yeah, that fucking president, he's a jerk. And Senator, what's his face? He's an asshole. Right? Can't trust these motherfuckers further than you can kick them. You don't have to be, you're not radical, folks, if you love your country. In fact, who was it that said extremism in the defense of liberty is no vice? That's right. Barry Goldwater. Crazy stuff. Mr. Uman, let's do it some more. We got some more stuff. I've got more as well. I've got a lot to say, but you guys, it's your part of the show. Name Redacted says, I don't know about you fine folks, but in the northern suburbs of Philadelphia, no one acts like there's a problem. Standing room only at restaurants and new cars a-flowing. When the switch flips, well, it sounds like you, Mr. Name Redacted, are in what is known as the burbs. Sounds like you're in a middle-class neighborhood. Now, I listened to an interesting interview today that people are still pretending everything's fine. But the banks, the financiers, watch the bank accounts. They can't disclose who has what, but they look at the averages, folks. The average savings account, it doesn't exist. The average checking account, the average amount of money flowing in and flowing out. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, sure, some people get a raise, a promotion. Some people, well, they have a business and it's doing well, sure. But on average, tick, 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 they're all going down. At some point, some people don't have enough money to make it month to month. They go from living well to living paycheck to paycheck to moving into a condition of living in debt monthly. They say, well, we have to give up stuff. So they start canceling their Netflix. They start eating hamburger instead of steak. They start eating bugs instead of chicken. How far down can they run us, folks? People stop paying for their car. They stop paying for their house after they go into debt and max out their credit cards. Tick, 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 tick. Good places where Name Redacted is at, restaurants are full. You got lines to get in. Folks, I live in an area that has very nice cars. But because I look around in my neighborhood, hey, that person has a new Toyota. Well, I look behind and go, holy shit. The car behind is a piece of shit. Windows busted out. You know, don't just look in one area for good or bad. You need to take a look at everything. And I try doing that. Try looking at everything. All right, Mr. Uman, do we have another one? Are we running out of time? Oh, we got just over 5 minutes. And it's Barking Wolf Spider. He says, about the same here for the general public. Name, as long as they got the convenience of modern life, they don't care or will not until they get uncomfortable. Too late then. Well, that's right. When you no longer have the funds, when you're living in debt, going broke, all of a sudden you're like, now I should be a prepper. Now I see it. Right? I don't know. Am I chicken little? Have I been chicken littling here on the YouTube since December of 2013? Well, you could say that, but eventually the sky did fall. It fell fucking hard too. September of 2019, folks, the banking system, financing system collapsed. Did you miss that? The great collapse of 2019? Yeah, about 99% of the country did. The other 1% has an inkling of an idea about what failed. But they're just pumping money in it. They're holding it open. And it's a big, big, big bubble. Now, again, I've been saying there's a stock market bubble. I've been saying there's a banking bubble. There's a mortgage bubble. There's a car loan bubble. There's a student loan bubble. It's now called, and I believe it was coined by, was it? I think it was Peter coined it. Anyways, the everything bubble. But they're like, well, the bubble's still there, John, or is there no bubble? Well, there's no life to a bubble, no guaranteed shortage of life. Bubbles don't last just 1 year or 2 years. They can keep this bubble going for a long time. But at some point, every bubble bursts. We've got a military bubble. It burst. We have a legal bubble. It has burst. Look at the military. No one wants to be in the Navy. No one wants to be in the Army. Can't meet the recruiting goals. Look at the courts. We got a two-tiered system. We got Democrats. We got Republicans. Look at bureaucracy. Look at government. It's fucking corrupt as fuck. That has burst. Yet, you're right. People are out there in their cute little cars. People are out there. Their tummies are full. Those are the bubbles that matter, the ones that hit us at home. They think, someone else will take care of those other problems. When chickens come home to roost, folks, it's too late. Better be ready for those fucking chickens. Man, I fought the chicken. I fought that rooster at the RMZ. I know what it's all about. Fucking chickens will get you. Anyways, I wanted to talk to you guys about this one item here. Remember I told you about the young punk who's been swatting people? He's not the only one, but it does get better. This jackass's name is Alan Winston Fillion. He created a fucking website, and he was selling his swatting services to radical left scumbags, and they could purchase him doing a SWAT for a fee. This Alan Winston Fillion almost sounds like a free market capitalist. I am willing to bet Alan Winston Fillion didn't claim the money he made. I bet the little son of a bitch didn't pay taxes. I bet the tight little fucker did not give money to other desperate people like illegal migrants and children who are starving. I bet this little fucker, Alan Winston Fillion, kept it all to himself, like a good little capitalist, a greedy capitalist. I wonder, folks, how many members of the George Soros organization, all those organizations I read off that Darcy T provided us with, I wonder how many of them actually hired Alan Winston Fillion. And I don't know what he charged for it either, folks. Well, he's being charged with the crime. Hopefully the little fucker does go to prison. I sure hope he does. I would like that. It would make me very happy if he did. Very happy. That would be nice. Let's see. The border bill. This came from Chin Music. I want to wrap everything up with this unless we got a really good one. Thumbs up if we got a really good one coming. Up. Oh man, that really sucks. And I'm glad Toby Keith is finding some rest. He battled stomach cancer for years. Nope, not a wild guess. And once again, I totally, folks, sincere in singing a line from one of his songs. It was my favorite Toby Keith song. I'll never smoke weed with Willie again. Anyways, that's just fucking sad. Either way you look at it, I thought he was a good country music singer. Now, Chin Music, the border bill that got denied. Page 150. The border bill strips states of their right to guard their own borders. It removes claims and legal decisions that could only be heard, folks, before the D.C. District Circuit. All decisions had to be decided in D.C. if a state had a problem with their border. Well, fortunately, Chin Music, Fortunately, they fucking lost. And I did report that MAGA Mike Johnson said that bill would have been dead on arrival. That's a good thing, dead on arrival. But it is very upsetting that they tried. Sneaky rhino cocksuckers. That's the government, folks. You can't trust these Republicans. I'm telling you. The Republican governor of Montana is involved in the prosecution, the attempt to arrest and prosecute parents for trying to stop their daughter from becoming a boy. That means mastectomy, testosterone injections, and trying to make a penis out of her labia. How stupid is that? Dumb, dumb motherfuckers. Dumb, just fucking dumb. Anyways, I want you to get prepared. Food, water, shelter, clothing, medicine, means of self-defense, and your plan. Get it done now, folks. I don't know how short time is. I don't know if we're just going to have more SHTF or if it's going to go Mad Max, if we're going to have hot spots or an all-out partisan conflict or a little of everything. I can't say. I prognosticate to the degree that we're provided information. I am not a religious prophet, but I am the prophet of prepping because we pay attention and we think. That's the tool we were given. Until we have to use our other tools, that's the one I use. Godspeed, Semper Fi, God bless America, and I'll see you 0 dark 30.